Hey, what's going on, y'all guys? So this is part one of Robert Cheeke interview. It was an amazing interview. We were able to talk about his failures, his successes. We were able to talk about some of the Latin countries he's visiting. So go ahead and hit like if you love this video, and don't forget to subscribe down below. And without further ado, here's the interview with Robert Cheeke.
Bienvenidos a Latino y Vegano, un show donde se habla todo lo relacionado sobre el veganismo entre la comunidad latina. latinoyvegano.com.
Oh man, so we moved to Colorado like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
So we just got here. It was funny. We left Arizona. It was 75, almost 80 degrees, sunny, all that kind of thing. And then drove to Colorado, and it just poured snow on us, just dumped snow on us. The first 2 days we were here was like, It was pretty cool actually. We were just covered in snow. I got some pretty cool photos out there. And it's actually going to snow 4 times next week. So
are you serious? 4 times?
We're here. We are mid-April. Mid-April, it's going to be high of 30 degrees for 2 days in a row with snow. So it's going to stick because it's cold. Right. And then 2 other days later in the week, snow coming back. So it's good, you know. Karen took a new job out here in Colorado, and we're just enjoying the new landscape. So right now we're in a temporary rental house, looking to get a house. So we're here either until we get a house or until June when this temporary lease is up. So so I'm down the kind of the basement area, I guess, right now. We got a little office down here, got a little doggy with me, and Karen's upstairs working. So we're keeping it real.
Awesome. Hey, Robert, so just to give you a little bit insight. So I decided to put this project out because, I don't know, personally, I felt like there was kind of like there was a gap in the Latin community as far as veganism images. And maybe it could be misinformation, maybe it could be a lack of knowledge or a lack of role model figures. So I'm trying to kind of like uplift that community and then target, all elements of veganism, so not just the dietary part of it. I'm also focusing in activism and also focusing a little bit on the eco part of it also. So I want to be able to uplift that community. We're bringing some content, bringing some help, allow them to kind of bridge that gap and translate some of the information that is out there. And the reason why I felt like it was a need, because I seen some of the curiosity and there's such a heavy culture, like, I can't change this because of my culture. There's always a big content. So the reason why I brought you in is because I want to be able to, from you, kind of pick up your brain on a little bit of those things, and we can go further down in the conversation on that. But before we even start talking about it, why you don't tell the folks who's Robert Cheeke, for the ones that don't know you?
Who's Robert Cheeke? Roger, I'm still trying to figure that out myself a lot of times. And this is the Robert Cheeke with the beard you've never seen before. No one's ever seen him before. With the Texas shirt and the beard. I don't know what happened to me. I guess Robert Cheeke, which would be me, is someone who adopted this vegan lifestyle a long time ago. 15-year-old kid growing up on a farm, 1995, before the internet really was around or was just coming of age. And it was something for me as a farm kid growing up in Western Oregon. It was something that I wanted to do to help animals. I raised animals. I showed animals at the county fair, at the state fair. I raised dairy cows. I raised chickens and rabbits, and we had all kinds of other animals, ducks and goats and turkeys and horses and ponies and all geese, all kinds of animals. And I just, once I kind of thought more about it, actually my older sister really opened my eyes to a lot of the animal cruelty on a much larger scale, on a factory farm scale, on an animal testing scale, on a larger scale than just our family farm.
Right.
That's when I decided I no longer wanted to contribute to animal suffering the best that I could. And so I went out on this vegan lifestyle. I didn't know how long it was going to last, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. I didn't really know. And of course, now I'm in my 25th year doing this. And the reason I wasn't sure if it would stick was because I wanted to get bigger and stronger. You know, I was a small kid. I weighed 89 pounds when I was in 8th grade, or the start of 8th grade. By the time I became vegan, I weighed 120 pounds as a sophomore in high school in December. And, you know, I wanted to get bigger and stronger like you. And I wasn't sure that I could without animal protein. I mean, back in 1995, I really didn't know. But I stuck with it. I was a long distance runner. I started training with weights, eventually put on some weight, and then that weight starting to come on faster. Right. And I turned into a competitive bodybuilder and went up to 195 pounds body weight and had a career for about 10 years in bodybuilding. And then I decided I want to write books, something I wanted to do since I was a kid. And so I retired from bodybuilding and started writing books. And dropped a little bit of weight because I wasn't training as hard or as much, and got back into running again like I did when I was younger, and did that for a while and ran a bunch of half marathons and including a bunch with my wife, and had a good time with that. But then I kind of missed being, you know, bigger and stronger. And so I started lifting weights again and actually got up to about 210 pounds, even a little bit heavier than that. And now I'm still writing books. You know, I'm working on my 5th book right now. I'm keeping busy with that, and was traveling and touring and speaking, as you know, until a lot of this issue happened recently where we're not traveling. And so I spend a lot of my time writing and promoting the vegan fitness lifestyle, mostly online these days, until we can get out there on the road again.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean, this conversation is such personal for me because, as you know, as many people has told you, you have been an inspiration for a lot of us. And there was a time in my life that I couldn't figure. I mean, I knew I was vegan. I had my reason why. I've mentioned, I'll tell you the story before. I had my reason why I was vegan. So, but you know what? A funny thing is, like, before I turned vegan, I had a mentor, right? I spoke with a friend of mine, which allowed me to kind of understand the vegan lifestyle a little bit more. But he pointed out from the dietitian part of it, like, hey, you need to eat healthy because that's going to allow you to live a lot longer. So that was his outtake. That was the way he showed it to me. However, that to me was not a big enough reason. So animal cruelty was the reason why I turned vegan, and I've been vegan since. So I'm not 20 plus, I'm 18 years, but but that allows me, that reason allows me to be vegan forever. So there's no other way around. However, there was a point in my life that I wanted to work out, and I went back to the same person that showed me the ways of veganism, and he told me, why do you want to be that big? Why do you want to have those many muscles? But one thing that I didn't understand is, and I don't want to try to put my friend on blast, is that his own scarcity or his own fear was what he was showcasing back to me. Not because I have a choice or decided I want to be big and strong, like you said, that is not the same goal he has. So since he doesn't have the same goals, he's reflecting that negativity on me. So what I did, I was like, well, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, dang, Roger, if you would have started lifting weight 18 years ago, you would have been top Olympian, buddy. You would have done so much well. You know, so I started later in my journey as a physique athlete. But I knew I always wanted to find another route. And when I found you, when I discovered you, this is like, okay, I'm not the only crazy guy doing this. There's somebody else is in the same journey as I am, vegan and bodybuilder. So I was like, okay, that's it. This is it. I fell in love with the sport. And that's why I was like, I need to meet Robert. So that's when I met you in Portland. Was the first time we met. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Portland Vet Fest. You approached you like, man, you got some big old guns. And like,
yeah, you're big biceps, man. I always remember your biceps.
Yeah, so that was a really cool experience. But for me, what I gained of the whole interaction, meeting you, was how down to earth you are. You know, how approachable you are. You always see these people, they take into celebrity status. It's just so hard to reach out to, especially ask questions, because you're curious. Like, you want to know a lot of questions. You have a lot of questions, and you want to be able to approach those persons and ask them about it. So that was one thing I got about, like, this guy needs to be my friend, because I can see a longevity here. I can see we reviving in different levels, no matter the time. just because he's such an approachable person. It's been that way. So whenever you need anything, buddy, I'm here for you, and anything I can help you.
I appreciate that, Roger. Thank you. And it's been good seeing you around too, around Texas, Caribbean, Portland, wherever we cross paths.
Yeah. Oh man, we have so much to talk. I was recently in Colorado. I was listening in Colorado, and I went to visit Vanessa. We met up.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It was.
Oh, cool.
It was
cool. How long ago was that?
That was. I want to say it was like around February.
Okay, just recently then.
Yeah, just recently. Yeah,
okay.
Just recently. Yeah, we met up for like a day or two, and then she showed me her boxing studio that she's building. I don't know if she completed it. She's up and running now. Back then,
I haven't even been down there. I haven't even seen her because of this virus. I haven't even seen her.
Yeah. So yeah, we had the opportunity. So she took me there at some boxing. Vanessa is she's an amazing athlete. Like, I need to have her here because she's in another level, Robert. I don't know, but she is another level. Like,
yeah, she is.
The thing that she can do with the physique and his strength, and I don't know where she's like a superhuman. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like, she was like boxing. I was like, I can't keep up with this girl. She was like, wow, she was going hard at that, and I was like, woo. Well, I'm definitely not a boxer.
You find out real quick, huh?
Yeah. So, what do you wish you would have had known when you first started as a vegan?
I think a few things. I think I wish I would have known how society would change because it was hard early on. And it really was. I was obviously a male athlete, not consuming any animals in high school and beyond. And that was difficult sometimes, where a lot of my male friends, maybe tease me or not understand, why I'm not being, tough guy and eating animals, and why I didn't want to, or why I even take the time to care about animals. It's kind of a soft thing to do, and not a super masculine thing to do, according to some, of course. And during that time, that was 1990s, high school, teenage years, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's one thing in particular, is I wish I could kind of see what the future would look like. We had no idea. I mean, we hoped for a bright future. We hoped for a compassionate future, but it was hard to tell because the internet was just brand new. There weren't a lot of books out there. There were some, of course. No major documentaries or anything like that. And the percentage of people following, we didn't use plant-based back then. No one ever used plant-based. But percentage of people following a vegan lifestyle was small. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, obviously I stuck with it, and I pushed through, and I was very, very involved in various aspects of animal rights, and doing some, in the early days, some protest stuff, just some peaceful protest stuff for circuses and old growth forests and things like that, and doing the vegan bake sales and all that in high school, raising money for organizations and causes, and doing a lot of leafleting, and involved in Food Not Bombs, making plant-based meals, vegan meals for the homeless or anybody in need. I did that for years. And, obviously things worked out to where we're at a place now where there's millions of vegans all over the world. There's some super vegan friendly cities throughout the world, at Portland and Austin and New York, San Francisco, Seattle, LA in the US, and Tel Aviv and Berlin and Sydney and Melbourne, and all these fantastic places throughout the world. England, of course, all throughout England, London and everything. And but more, I guess, pragmatically or practically, for people to take something away, what I wish I would have known then was a little bit more about food and nutrition. Mm-hmm. I didn't know a whole lot, to be honest, Roger. I was eating like bagels and chips and salsa and candy and soda, anything that didn't have animals in it. And partly that was my age, partly 15, 16, 17 years old, partly lack of income. Right. Didn't have a lot of my own money, and so I couldn't make a lot of those decisions. I had to kind of eat what my mom was preparing, or family was preparing, and that kind of thing, and then work a way around it and make some spaghetti or peanut butter or whatever. So I wish I would have known a little bit more about just a variety of food back then. Even growing up on a farm, I mean, growing things like peas and beans and corn and squash and zucchini and cucumbers, I just didn't think a whole lot about nutritional variety. And then lastly, I think I wish I would have known how to actually build muscle on a plant-based diet. I didn't build muscle for the first few years. I was a long distance runner. I didn't know about eating a calorie surplus. I didn't know about my calorie intake versus expenditure ratio, didn't know about resistance weight training, didn't know about calorie density and certain types of foods to include in the diet. And so I struggled at first with that goal of getting bigger and stronger, which I always had, until I finally figured it out around 1999 or 2000 with the Bill Phillips Body for Life program, when that book came out. And I was like, okay, now I know how many meals to eat, how many calories, how much protein, whatever the case is, and just to be consistent with weight training and nutrition. And from there, I figured it out and went on to a fairly long 10-year bodybuilding career, and had a chance to win some bodybuilding competitions and take part in a lot of fun, building muscle and training with friends and other vegan bodybuilders as well, and watching them succeed and all of that. So I figured some things out along the way, but early days, it was certainly a bit of trial and error.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's great. You know, I don't know if you remember that. It's interesting how when people say things to you that create an impact in your life. And one of the things that you told me, my first ever competition in Austin, 2014. I remember that. I don't know if you remember this, but so they called my name. I got 4th place, and I was devastated. I got off the stage, sad, mad, disappointed. And you approached me and you told me, "Why are you even mad, Roger?" I'm like, "I wanted to win." And you said, "But you got 4th place. Like, why are you even mad? This is your first show ever. Like, why are you even mad? Like, be grateful, keep working hard, and then keep going." Like, I didn't even place in my first show. That was Robert Cheeke's word. I remember like it was yesterday. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm not mad anymore. Let's go. Let's go eat. Yeah. So like those words were so, I mean, you don't remember this conversation we had, but things like that make a big impact in people. Like just the fact that you came and approached me and you told me, I didn't even play my first show. You placed 4th.
I placed 4th my first show, and I went on to win either my 2nd or 3rd show. I can't remember exactly, but I maybe in the next show that I won, but I was really optimistic. You know, I drove down to California from Oregon, you know, long drive, and I was all excited, and I was really into the bodybuilding culture and all the bodybuilding magazines, and I was going to the Olympia and the Arnold, and I was a big fan and everything. And I didn't do all that well. I mean, respectively, I didn't do what I thought I was capable of doing. And I didn't place. I didn't, you know, I got 4th, and I just came back. I don't think I competed again until 2 years later. And then I came back and I won a show in Portland. And then I went on the very next year to the INBA Natural Bodybuilding World Championships in California. And I was a few years into it and a little more experienced, a little more confident. And I did fairly well there. Maybe one of my best physiques ever there. And then, you know, I went back and competed in a bunch of different federations, a total of five different federations back then, including NPC and INBF and INBA and OCB, and then one local federation in Washington State. And I eventually went on to win another show, and I got runner-up about 4 times, including some that I probably could have won, but I made some mistakes with my posing and all that. And that used to drag on me. I used to be like you. I was kind of like, I don't know, mad or resentful or upset. Like, man, imagine if my resume said three-time champion or 4-time. Right now it still says 2. But I could have done something differently. But, you know, you can't worry about that kind of stuff. And I found out, honestly, Roger, I was a much better writer than I was a bodybuilder. I mean, yeah, I was early and I did it. Then I had a lot of fun, but I was never great at bodybuilding. I was never really great at it. I was okay at it, I think. I just happened to be one of the few guys around, so I got some extra attention that way, to be honest. You know, there wasn't a lot of people to throw on a podcast. We didn't have podcasts back then. There weren't a lot of people to put in magazines or newspapers. I was one of the only guys, and so I got some good attention. And but then when I started writing books, I realized like that's something I'm quite a bit better at. And And kind of like my bodybuilding career, I thought my first book, Vegan Bodybuilding, was just gonna just take off and just do amazingly well. And it didn't. It did okay, but not great, to be honest. And again, I had to go back and learn. So that's like basically almost like coming in fourth as a writer. I had such high expectations and it didn't reach those. And so I didn't release another book for 4 years later. Shred It, which you know all about,
yep.
And played a part in. And when I released Shred It, I was a better writer. And I was able to acquire 28 endorsements from world-renowned experts. I mean, Dr. T. Colin Campbell, Dr. Esselstyn, Rip Esselstyn, Rich Roll, Brian Wendell, Matt Frazier, Kathy Freston, Juliana Hever, even one of the guys from Def Leppard, who's in incredible shape in his 60s and a longtime plant-based guy, and all these people. And that book took off and became a self-published bestseller, and helped me in my whole life, helped me go buy a house for the first time and all these things, because I had spent that time learning from that first book that, it was good, but it wasn't great. And then I made something that was much more beneficial to readers and to myself. And that was like that, almost like that redemption of coming in, first place as a writer, having learned that experience through bodybuilding. And so I really equate a lot of those to helping me and therefore, helping many others and helping the movement from that learning experience.
Okay. So Robert, just to piggyback on that, have you ever feel like you failed before?
Oh yeah, all the time. In fact, I wrote an article called "I Failed."
Yeah.
That's the title of it, and I feel like I fail all the time, and that's what I believe is what has made me, if you want to say, successful in something, whether that's writing or when I did find some success in bodybuilding or as a runner or building a brand or whatever. I'm absolutely convinced that perceived success or whatever it was a result of a whole lot of failure, because I realized at a young age I could fail often, and I could accept it, and I could learn from it, and I could bounce back from it, and I could get better from it. And so that's what I focused on. I'm not worried about failing. It's something I've experienced so much, because anytime you're in a sport, like an individual competitive sport, you don't have teammates to rely on. You don't have a coach in the sense of, organized sports I'm talking about. Right. The responsibility is on you, and you carry that responsibility. And so I really equated a lot of my bodybuilding with some failure.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever achieved my max potential, and I failed in a lot of ways, launching brands and products and books and a bunch of presentations that didn't go so well, that I'm like, man, I wish I could have had that one back. But that's how you get better. If you dwell on that failure of your first competition and never do it again, right, then you never know what you could have become. If your first book or your first podcast or your first YouTube video is a flop and nobody likes it, in fact, you get some bad feedback and you give up, that's the failure, is giving up, not trying again. And so I'm doing that all the time. Every day. I failed yesterday. I planned to exercise more than I did, and I didn't do it. I got carried away with some other projects, including writing. And that was meaningful to me at the time, was to focus on that writing of the new book and of a new article. And, I failed to get the proper workout in, even though I had dumbbells like right behind me.
Right behind you.
So, but what I can do is I can bounce back today and say, you know what, Robert, you did this podcast with Roger. You got off to a good start today. Let's go get that workout in and then get back to work on writing, And
awesome.
So I think that's how I look at failure, is that it's never the end of the road. It's just a bump in the road, and you come back, and I tell you, as you know, nothing feels better than redeeming yourself and overcoming that failure, even if it's just a failure to deliver some results that you expected to, and come back better the next time and say, hey, here's another side of me.
Right.
Maybe before, here's the successful side of me as this, entity, whatever that is.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a Warren Buffett quote that I think it's a story that he was telling one time that I think he was a Coca-Cola employee one time. He made like I don't know, like $1 million mistake, calling a shot in some kind of decision. And then everybody was like, "Oh, you're not gonna fire him. You're not gonna fire him." And he said, "Nah, that's $1 million lesson that this guy has. I don't think you're ever gonna make that mistake again."
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
really clever way of approaching it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And whether big mistake or small mistake,
Right.
I think there's always an opportunity to show another side of yourself.
Right.
If you didn't bring the best effort, didn't bring the best physique, didn't bring the best preparation and planning, didn't do the best job, didn't do the best speech or presentation or interview or whatever, there's a chance that there's another chance,
Mm-hmm.
to do it again and learn from that experience.
Absolutely. I want to talk about your books, but before we go that route, I wanted to find out from you is which Latin countries that you visited in the past, and from those, which one has been the most vegan friendly? Either
Good question.
Central America or South America.
Yeah, I've actually never been to South America. It's
No?
amazing. I've been to like four continents, but not South America. And I've just been to Central America
Okay.
on that cruise that that you've been
Yeah.
on too, the vegan cruise. And
Absolutely.
then back in the day when I used to work on cruise ships, I was in a bunch of Caribbean countries and Central American countries. And so so my experience is relatively limited, to be
Okay.
honest. It's just dropping in to Puerto Rico, Honduras, Colombia, places like that, but just for the day, just for like you getting off the ship and looking around.
Right.
So I don't have a ton of experience
Okay.
in Latin countries, and I actually want to explore more of them. I just haven't. I haven't had invitations to go speak there, which is usually where I travel. Like when I went to Asia, when I went to Australia, when I went to Europe, those were all on speaking opportunities to talk about vegan fitness and health and all that. And I just haven't had the opportunity to get invited to go down there. But that's an area that I would like to go just for personal travel,
Yeah.
So I would have to defer to you to give me some advice, because
Good.
I really don't know. I was just in Puerto Rico a month ago, whatever, on the vegan cruise a month and a half ago, right before
Yeah.
this whole virus thing took off. And that was great. And last year really enjoyed Panama and Colombia and let's see, Honduras the year before. But, like I said, experience pretty limited.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been to a lot of countries in South America. I actually only been to 2 countries in South America, which is Argentina and Chile.
Okay,
And then the
great.
funny thing is, like, if people know, Argentina is like the mecca of like barbecue. So
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
yeah. So I went to Argentina to learn about veganism. That's like the most iconic thing ever that happened in my life.
I
Like
remember that. I remember that story now.
so yeah, and I had the opportunity to learn veganism in Argentina, and that the first meal that I ever had, vegan meal that I ever had in Argentina, was Satan. And I said, is veganism is Satan every day? I'm sold, buddy. I'm sold. So yeah, so in Central America, I've been to quite a few. It's funny that even though I'm Panamanian, have not been to a lot of the countries in Central America, but I've been to Costa Rica, and they're very, very vegan friendly. It's a very vegan friendly place. I'm not biased to Costa Rica, but Panama is getting there, but not as big as Costa Rica, in my opinion. But yeah, there's quite a few. I think the movement, or the whole vegan movement, is on the early stage. We are here up north. We're more advanced, including Mexico. They were more advanced. And that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to create some kind of unity, some kind of break. Like, I'm trying to figure out which are all the vegan authors, like who's writing books. So why can we have all these people in one platform and start spreading the message, So I'm trying to create some of that, and that's where I'm heading with this.